In the crypto lounge with a chart so wild, we're dropping beats and rhymes and we're not for mile. From Bitcoin to Ethereum, we're breaking it down. In the crypto lounge where the markets never bound. Crypto lounge, daily live stream. Market analysis, breaking news, it's a dream. We're dropping knowledge, we're dropping bars. In the crypto lounge where the beats are hard. From NFTs to DeFi, we're keeping it real. We're dropping knowledge, and we're making it feel. From bull to bear, we're always on the grind. In the crypto lounge, where the market's never blind. Crypto lounge, where the toll lounge, where the market's never blind. Crypto lounge, daily live stream. Market analysis, breaking news, it's a dream. We're dropping knowledge, we're dropping bars. In the crypto lounge, where the beats are hard. We're dropping knowledge, we're dropping rhymes. In the crypto lounge where the future shines.
All right. What's going on, LMFG? JR, what's going on, brother? We got a good one for you today. Welcome to the show. I forgot my phone. Shit. Oh well, we're live. Let's go ahead and do it. We got a good one today. We're going to talk about this Bitcoin thing as well. Got a special guest as well from the Monar camp. He's got a great meme. We're going to talk about the meme. It's a Monar Layer 1 fresh meme. I think we got LMFG just hopped into. Let me know when you're ready to go, brother. But we're going to get into the Bitcoin thing today too as well. So, and it's a lot. We'll talk about that, and then we'll go into this Monar Layer 1 too as well. We'll get a brief little discussion on that, what's going on. You know, it's a lot of things going on. We have a lot of grumbling, and then we have a lot of people that are, you know, in hooray mode, right? I mean, we're happy to see some diversity, some more diversity within that blockchain arena. So it's something very fresh. So LMFG, can you hear me, brother? Are you there? I think you're there.
Yeah.
There you go. Welcome to the show, brother. Welcome to the show.
I didn't see it running. I had YouTube on. I just refreshed the page and then it started going. I didn't think you were on yet.
Yeah, no, we were. Well, yeah, I was talking to Gojo in the back, trying to get everything going, and now he's going to join us. He has a great meme that's on that new Layer 1 that we love so much, right? You know, we're going to talk about it too, LMFG. We're going to go and look at some stats, and you know, we'll talk about what's going on. I'll get your take on that too as well, and Bitcoin, because as you already know, brother, I know you can see that on the screen. I think the bottom of my screen has never been that red before. That is another shade of red that I've. I mean, it's fire engine red. I don't know what it is, but it's gleaming, and you already know, you know, liquidations across the board, $500 million. We have some very scary things going on in Japan as well that are affecting liquidity across the board. So we'll talk about that a little bit. But what's your take, brother, before we get into the actual Bitcoin situation? Oh, I think he's still muted. Well, that's okay. There you go.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I was talking to someone. I missed that for a second.
That's okay. I'm just going to get your take on Bitcoin before we splash into it. We'll get Gojo on stage too in a little bit.
I see people saying 75K as the bottom. I don't know. I don't know what happened here. What's going on? I got up a little late.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell?
The liquidity shock, bro. You know, everything was real thin already, right? We already had thin liquidity, low volume, right? Everything was at a slow pace. You had some mass exodus too as well. And then you have this Japan issue that just rolls over the weekend. The market is forcing those rates to go up over there in Japan. And that decimates the carry trade. You know, the yen gets stronger, and that's when everybody starts moving capital. And it affects risk assets across the board. This is what me and Gojo was talking about just a minute ago in the back. That affects our risk assets. And Bitcoin is a risk asset. It's been echoed today. We'll get into Tom Lee's new prediction as well, because he's moving the goalpost, if you will, which they all are. Now they're saying January or February, we're going to see $200,000 Bitcoin. That's a whole nother, we'll talk about that more tomorrow, but let's go ahead and get into what's going on in the actual space, man. And then we'll get into the Monar situation as well. Now I need to get this up. I don't think I even got it up. There we go. Let's go ahead and get this up. I think you guys can see it. There we go. Boom. So as we transition to the market, and then we'll briefly, this is a brief little rundown. Specifically, I want to target Bitcoin because this is what's causing a lot of people a lot of grief. And you have Wintermute. You have a lot of entities that are selling Bitcoin, and everybody's blaming these entities who are holders of Bitcoins, hoarders, right? They're blaming them for the actual, slide down to, I believe, 84 by the end of the day, right? And it's really not their fault. They're just reacting to what's going on across the pond, right? That's a reaction. That's a knee-jerk reaction. They're securing profits before this thing tanks down to, I believe, 50K. Now, I don't know about you, LMFG, but I think 50K. And once we get past 75, MicroStrategies, they're going to have to sell the Bitcoin. I don't know if they're going to sell the whole thing, but what's your take on that? Because we do have the CEO basically laying out that plan, basically coming out and saying, yes, absolutely. We are going to sell Bitcoin once we get to that threshold. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I seen that. That's ugly.
Yes, it is.
And it could he drop to 50? Jesus, that's estimate the alts.
Yeah. Well, that's a situation that we don't want to see, because that would decimate the altcoin market, right? But it'd be a great reset, because that 20 or 30x is going to be dramatic for people who are, entrenched and placed into the proper, sectors, whether that be gaming or blockchain, NFTs, memes or whatever, DeFi coins or whatever. If you're in the right situation, you're going to get a 20x next year. But you just have to really understand what's going on. Not financial advice, but you really have to do your research on the proper product and then get into place, get into position, because this is just a start. We're at 2.89 trillion globally. We were at well over 3.5 over the weekend. We had 3.11 trillion. We're far from that right now. Massive, massive cascade down. So, and I want to really, really zoom in on Bitcoin, because it's pretty evident that we are on a downslide. 7%, guys, within the 24 hours, not 5 day, not 7 day. We're not talking about 2 week interval. This is a 24-hour snapshot, down almost 8%. That is a huge drop off when it comes to 92,000, where we were kind of cresting at. I think we topped off at 93 over the weekend. This was pretty decent. Jason, what's going on, brother? He says, what is your guess for ETH with a 50K Bitcoin? I'm thinking around $1,100. I don't know about you guys, but $1,100 is where ETH is going to be at 50K. It may even go below 1,000, and I'm going to bring in Gojo, because I want to get his take on this too. Gojo, can you hear us, brother? Welcome to the show, man. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me on board. And I take the stance of a delusional bull. I feel like we're going through the course of a final shakeout. I do not believe we'll hit 50K BTC. I think maybe like 70K.
Okay.
If you look at the weekly, right, there's like a trend line that's like kind of being respected, like a little bit. But I've been seeing this trend line for a hot minute, right? It looks like an inverse head and shoulders. Yeah. I could be completely wrong on this. Like I'm new to all of this, but the more I see it, I just think like, Eric Trump said something, and, last 2 times I've betted against Eric Trump, I lost money. So yeah. I'm not trying to bet against Eric Trump on this, man. He said Q4 is supposed to be profitable, and I think this is a really big shakeout. Like, everybody's losing their liquidity, they're panic trading, right? Retail is drying up. I think that's like really like important there, because I think big money will move in soon. On like the 50K Bitcoin, I don't feel like they would give retail that opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you say, LMFG? I mean, he has some points. The shakeout aspect of it. I don't know if this is a shakeout. I think we have a lot of shaking to do. We have a lot. And by the way, Sailor bought another huge bag. What MicroStrategies did, which I think that was pretty careless, because there's already heat. They're breathing down his neck. I don't think the shareholders really wanted that buy. But what's your take on what Gojo had to say?
Yeah, no, a good point. Because how low is it going to go before the institutions are just going to go all out?
Yeah.
their bags with this stuff. They're probably watching they're watching the trends and they're watching the retail. And as the retail dumps, once they figure they dumped enough, that's when you're going to come in and it'll be a violent uptick. It'll just go so fast. Within a couple of days, you'll see probably $1 trillion go into the market cap as a whole. That's what I'm expecting.
That'd be crazy.
It's going to be the institutions and the whales, the guys with the big bucks. They're just sitting back and waiting.
Yeah, I was looking at. Well, go ahead, Gojo. Go ahead.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't Sailor sell some MicroStrategy shares to be able to cover some deficits versus clearing Bitcoin balance?
I think he did that once this year, I believe. LMFG. I know he sold a lot of his personal shares.
Yeah,
I do know that. Yeah. He's. I don't think he's a majority holder anymore. He's a minority holder. I think he sold a lot of his personal shares. So I don't think he's up top anymore like he was, a couple of years ago. But he's.
Yeah, they changed his title. He's
absolutely.
Not the CEO anymore. He's maybe chief technical officer. I forget what it is.
Yeah.
But his title's changed.
I think Long is going to be that CEO, I believe. Right, guys? I think it is. In fact, we have a little video we react to here. Traditionally, November's down. In 2024, it was a negative 2.8% drop going into December, coming off of a robust November in 2024 when it was up almost 40%, right? September, October, November of 2024 was pretty robust for Bitcoin, essentially. We're seeing a reversal of that trend. And I think it's not because Bitcoin is a poor asset and it's horrible. There are many other variables here that are taking place right now, including one that no one actually planned for. And that was the Japanese carry trade being decimated, being in jeopardy of being completely eliminated and in distraught territory, dismantled, however you want to call it. That particular situation is being threatened right now. The market is forcing Japan to do things that it really does not want to do. But again, negative rates will put you in this position as a country. Multiple years of negative rates will put you in this position to where you got to make a move. So there's new leadership there too as well. So if they do, I think they pull back. They were convinced not to go 1% up, but I think they're going to be forced to go, up on those rates, LMFG, Gojo. And that's going to upset that carry trade. And then that just trickles down, cascades to, future events that we're just not ready for. These markets are not ready for that. The liquidity is already thin. The volume is already low. The stock market is pumped by NVIDIA, the Mag 7, the NASDAQ, that's your stock market. So a lot of this can come tumbling down at a catastrophic rate. And I think a lot of retail is going to be crushed. I could be wrong, guys. A lot of people say I'm too bearish. I'm just looking at these metrics and the core issues here. It's not good.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from on that completely. Like, the only thing I took into, factored long term is we're going to have another halving, right? In 28, if I'm not mistaken. And I think this and next year are going to be the most opportune time to just load the boat.
Yeah.
Before the halving happens, right? Because I think the levels that we're seeing now are going to be levels that we wish we bought aggressively down the road.
Okay. No, I can dig it. LMFG, before we move on. Yeah, the last thing, because it's a lot, bro. I'm going to save some of this for tomorrow, but especially I want to go deep on the Japan situation because I think they're going to be forced to do the unthinkable. What's your lasting remark on this? Because I believe we're probably going to hit 83 before we roll into the new day.
Right, and isn't Powell supposed to say something today? So I'm assuming it's not looking good. And then on the 10th, we got his whether they drop a rate or not. So we'll see. To me, I'm just sitting back and watching the blue chips and slowly go in. Hey, it looks like I had to go into Monar now. It went down to 2.4 cents.
Yeah.
He's hanging there.
Yeah, I'm definitely having some early Solana vibes with Monar. I love the price. I love the price action because I want to double up on mine too as well. So I'm not wishing bad. I'm just, it is what it is. I'm a trader. So I know what's under the hood. Me and you both know. And I'm pretty sure Gojo knows too as well, because he has deployed a beautiful meme. That's that mascot up there. We're going to be talking about that too as we segue. Just a brief little top 25 countdown here on the price. Ethereum, $2,700, guys, down across the board. Obviously, Tether is in trouble. Like I tell you guys all the time, Tether is in a lot of trouble. And I know you guys have been seeing these headlines. Arthur Hayes is on that ass recently. He's been on it too as well. But these Tether issues, they date back some years. So they're finally being brought to the fire. Their feet are finally being held to the fire. And Tether's in trouble. So XRP, $1.99, just under $2, down on the 7-day period as well. BNB, $814. Solana, almost $120. Everybody's shaking in their boots, but I guarantee you this thing is it's gonna robustly recover that 150, I believe $150 pretty quick once everything turns around. Maybe even over 200, right? 24-hour ticker on that. That's gonna be 10% down. So Solana's getting hit pretty hard. You have some unlocks too, some really heavy unlocks, in particular Suchain, massive unlock that's probably going to hit that, probably going to bring Suchain down below $1, because I don't think those are going to be recirculated back in, especially in this market climate. If I'm getting an unlock, if I'm getting an airdrop, I'll just leave it at that. I don't want to put any fear about that. But the Suchain unlock is dramatic. It's pretty intense. Tron 27 cents, Dogecoin 13.8837. Hyperliquid back up almost to $30. You did have Chainlink almost $10. Steve, what's going on, brother? What is going on? That's a wrap. So you think it's a wrap, huh? You think the Suchain is a wrap after that unlock? It's pretty intense, man. That's a lot of SUI tokens. They're going to be hitting the market. And there's some other chains too that are unlocking today. Massive. The Chainlink ETF, we'll talk about that tomorrow. I hate that ETF is going to be actually launched within this climate, because it's not going to do very well in this climate. But at least that Chainlink ETF is going to be actually placed and deployed. And I think once we roll out of this this turbulence, I think that thing is going to robustly go up. What's going on, XXI? What's going on, brother? Stellar and Monero, 392 for Monero, the OG, and another OG, 22 cents for Stellar. So that is the situation we have here. And we're going to roll into some more crypto reports here. In fact, let's go ahead and get into the Monar situation. So Gojo, we'll go to Gojo with this, because we're finna segue into this meme, brother. Because I want to get to know this meme. I talked to 21 about it, and I get you as well, because you're very close to it. Yeah, very, very close to it. LMFG, we're going to get into some Monar discussions as well. We're going to talk about these D-apps that have not even been launched, that are not even live, that people are waiting on, essentially. There are some D-apps already live, but as I saw today on X, the devs are tweeting, the majority of the D-apps are not even live and deployed yet. They're coming. They're already ready to go, but they haven't been deployed yet. They're not live. So, and I see a lot of chatter saying, these D-apps are trash, this and that, the NFT crowd on the Monar L1, they're not happy. NFTs are flat. The market is flat. I wouldn't necessarily blame it on Monar. What's your take on that before we segue into this beautiful meme too as well?
So I think with the Monar ecosystem, we're very early. This is giving me like early Sui vibes, but when you compare it to Sui just kind of had like psyop with like the marketing, right? There was no way in hell Las Vegas Barbie could think that Sui was the next Solana, right? And then the founder, Adenali himself on Sui kind of like fumbled the ball, right? He said Sui was not a coin chain. He supported a lot of projects that are pretty malicious. They were really pro builders. And now, you see Adenali, on the timeline, he showed a coin, right? Recently, I think it was called like Prayer or Faith.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. And that's like 17K now, right? And he told people, on Space, I do not support meme coins, right? So what I really liked about right, is that the founders are supporting meme coins, right? They're supporting NFT builders. They're supporting builders all across the board, right? As much as there's a lot of FUD around the Monar ecosystem, I just think that's people who don't understand, and that they're going to bandwagon it at some point, right? Like having it at 2.5 cents right now, sub that is a really good entry, in my opinion. And I think a lot of the memes are like, good culture, good basis,
Mhm.
right? Like NFTs. I think these are the opportunities people should be taking to like load up, right? Like,
No, absolutely.
yeah, have you heard of the Monafuku collection?
No, I haven't. I haven't. I
Right.
really need
So,
to. Well, I briefly looked at the market. Essentially, I got the metric readout of the markets because this is all I'm hearing. On my timeline, the NFTs are crap. They sold us a ship that's not selling right and all this stuff. But I'm like, I always, if I'm a dev, I'm gonna look at myself in the mirror first, right? Did I do the right thing? Did I deploy the right product? Did I deploy too many, right, or too less of a quality product? Did I build correctly? I'm gonna look at myself first before I blame the actual platform. You know what I'm saying? That's just me, though, right?
oh,
That's just me.
100%, 100%, right? And with this collection, right, I looked at all the collections, who's holding them, right? Like, I really like to know my Carfax,
Mhm.
right? Because I like to be bullish. I want to pace myself in good investments, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
So with this collection, this is the only collection that the co-founder, right, himself actually bought into.
Mhm.
As well, this is the first NFT collection on Monar, right? So right now,
Okay.
entry per piece is like maybe like $25-$30 a piece, right? But
Mhm.
if like the derivatives like Milady's, Retardios,
Yeah.
Remilios, this is giving me Milady vibes. The artwork is sick, right?
Okay.
Like, you put it on OpenSea, right? The artwork is fire. There's a cult following already. As well as like the founders like rocking the PFP online.
Mhm.
And I think people fading it this early, everybody's gonna talk about it once it hits $100 a piece. That's just my speculation on it. I think we're really early to the NFT game on Monad,
No,
right?
I think so too. I think I mean, that's an understatement. Just think about it, bro. It's like just now over a week old, and it's getting FUD that I don't think it really deserves being just over a week old. And you can talk about the tokenomics. This is what I see a lot, but I've seen worse. And there's a lot that are still existing that no one talks about that are. And I'm not saying this is bad. I'm just saying it's kind of a standard, especially with these high utility plays. Look at the ETH Foundation. Everybody's pissed off about Vitalik every time he fires his wallet up. This is the norm essentially when it comes to a lot of these top 10 chains, these huge foundations. This is how they're built. So I don't know if that changes in the next 5 to 10 years, these bills, but I do know that this is way too early to condemn this situation, especially with the way it's custom built. I was looking at the stack. I was looking at all these different nuances of it that make it unique. No one cares, and I'm like, I don't understand that. LMFG, what's your take, bro?
Yeah, I ignored the FUD because I read through that white paper quite a bit, and very impressive. And it's just, we've been here so many times.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And just let it go. I like the idea of the BFTM. They're coming up with their own Byzantine fault tolerance. So I would only assume it's hot rodded, of what we know. So it looks very impressive of the chain. So, and I think it's a smart idea. These guys are all just letting the dApps come out all at once. I have a feeling they're talking in the background and they're going to pop one out, pop another one out,
Yeah.
I know these cats, they jumped right on it. First to the plate, you know what I mean? It's all good.
Yeah.
I like it. And I just was always thinking, it was like, here comes JT.
Yeah, we were talking about that. And Gojo, you made a great point about the NFTs being a first mover. How important is that, man? Because I know it's a bummer in this particular climate, but as a first mover on a new chain that's built like this, that's not a carbon copy, it's not something that already has been built multiple times and just completely just cloned all over the place. First mover status is very important. Wouldn't you agree? Especially when it comes to NFTs.
With NFTs, I'm looking for. All right, so I have a logic, right? If it looks really stupid, because like I don't get NFTs, right? I'm not an NFT guy.
Right.
I'm more a Bitcoin guy. It has to have like a certain metric, right? It has to look really stupid, make absolute no sense, right? And I need to see people wanting it early, right?
Mm-hmm.
And all posting it extremely early, but I'm looking for churn accounts, right? So Hypeo babies, I faded that, right? I had mints, those ended up being $10,000 a piece, right?
Oh wow.
The logic was everybody that was NFT nerd, right, that was broke, they were all bull posting it, and I hated it, right?
Yeah.
And you know, a month later, $10,000 a piece, right? I'm screaming, I'm raging, right? Sui, that happened. It was the same repeat. One of my friends, he's the founder of the Doonies, right? I don't know if you've heard of that collection on the
Yes, I have. Yeah.
marketplace, right? Van, really great builder. He tells me about the collection. I buy some, I sell pretty early. They end up being like, you know, close to like 400 Sui a piece, right? Or like 140 Sui a piece, right? And I realized that NFTs are hedges, right? Where people don't feel comfortable with meme coins because more people are PvPing with the meme coin liquidity. So a lot of smarter investors usually tend to just invest into meme coins, and they'll size up, right? Now, when I look at the Monad like ecosystem with the NFTs, whatever gives cult vibes, you know, they have, you know, stuff that they're building, you know, games, any type of, you know, platform that they're doing. Those are the things you want to be in early, right? Yeah, it's always a gamble, but I would rather hedge into that at the moment while Monad is so cheap.
Yeah, you're not joking when it comes to cheap. There, I mean, and I think it's below the early access to ICO price that was set on Coinbase, and you know, I think you, you know, I don't want to tell anybody to like go run for it, but I'm just saying, you know, I know what LMFG's doing. I know what I'm doing. Probably in a couple. I have my interval, and it's getting pretty close to it. You know, I get early. You know, early Solana vibes, you know, early, you mentioned Sui too as well, remnants of it. But this chain is different, bro. This is a different beast right here. And what they put into it is pretty interesting. I think it's 3 years when it comes to, you know, building and all these apps. I'm looking at these apps. And let me switch over here to this one. Now, a lot of these are not even live. They're going to be, you know, live soon. But these are a lot. This thing rolled out really, really hot. And this is probably the first rollout of L1 I've ever seen that had that was already pre-packaged with a lot of goodies. Wouldn't you say, guys?
I like it. I like it a lot. I like how fast it is on transaction rate. If I'm not mistaken, right, there's probably approximately 311 million wallets, right, since, you know, TDE came out, the layer 1. And from now to when it came out, I think roughly about maybe, hold on, let me just check real quick because I think I wrote it down. Roughly 2.6 billion transactions.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll go to the stat board here. And I love the Gmod. Monad's a website, man. It's like a live look up under the engine. Anybody can go look at this, you know, if you understand the metrics. Even if you don't understand it, I mean, it's pretty easy to kind of like navigate this particular page. We'll get into that in a minute, but you're right. This thing is turbocharged. The way it had these DApps packaged and already prepackaged, with a lot of them spanning a lot of different sectors. When it comes to DeFi, there's some gaming here, predictive, you know, market DApps. You have collectible DApps, you know, pancake swap, all your native stuff that we're used to, plus some new things that I haven't seen before. NAD.fun. I thought that was very interesting too. That launch pad, very interesting with that integration with X. I haven't tried it yet, but that's a very interesting way of launching a token. LMFG, a lot of DApps, a lot of functionality here going into the future. You know, I know the chain is going to be very robust and very, you know, hospitable to payments, stablecoin activity, you know, RWAs, tokenization. This is where we're going. And as well as memes and NFTs and gaming, Web3 applications. I'm pretty happy about this. What's your take, LMFG? And we'll move into the actual, we'll go up under the hood too and see what's going on.
Right, yeah, I noticed. I mean, I didn't read up on any of these, just looking at it. A couple of them I did, the DeFi stuff. You know me, follow the money.
Absolutely, seasoned investor.
I'm serious with all of this stuff, and so we'll see, man. Because I like the white paper. You know, I spent a couple hours on it. I'm not a speed reader like you. I got to read over some paragraphs a couple of times and then go look up stuff on Google definitions, you know. But no, pretty short, man. I like it.
Yeah, again, we're talking about the Monar Layer 1, guys, just in case.
I told all my family and friends that most of them are in it.
So you got them in? Yeah, well, congratulations, man. Congratulations, Coach Joe. Listen, we're looking at these DI, bro. So are you a DI guy? Because, pretty soon going into a couple of years down the road, we're going to see a lot of bank. You're going to see a Bank of America. If they actually survive this this onslaught, you're going to see their applications appearing across the board within our space as well. As far as banking, ordinary financials, I think Monar is going to be very, very easy. It's going to be very easy for Monar to facilitate that particular environment is what I'm trying to say here. What's your take as we transition here?
I am not a DApp type of guy. That's like still new to my vocabulary. I'm wetter behind the ears. I can't really give much information on something I'm not aware of.
Okay, gotcha. Great answer. Great answer.
Look, real simple with me.
Yeah.
I don't use apps. I use everything. I hear there's a couple of apps on my phone, and that's it. Because you read the terms and conditions, it's horrendous. So with D apps, there's none of that. They got a wallet address, and that's it. They don't have any of your information for your login, for anything. And there's the difference between apps.
No, absolutely. I think decentralized applications are great bridges. You can make it into pretty much anything that you need it to be these days, especially with AI companions. They pretty much do all the coding these days and times. There's a little hallucination percentages there that needs to go down a little bit more, but those companions are making it very easy to create these D apps, and a lot of developers are implanting a lot of these AI assistants within their development boards to kind of help devs develop more quickly on their chains. I know ICP has I think caffeine embedded into their infrastructure, and it kind of helps the devs develop on ICP a whole lot quicker. So I think that is a trend that's we're going to see that kind of like blossom, that expedited development, that assisted AI assistant that makes it a whole lot quicker. So I think that's beautiful. I don't know about you guys, but I think the AI companion, that and how that's snowballing into something that's a great asset for a lot of devs. I'm not saying it's going to replace the coder. I think it just enhances the coder, allows the coder to be more flexible, and the labor part is not so intensive as it was 10, 15 years ago. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I'll tell you that I see a lot of these apps where they're coming in now, dApps, and different languages. So now you can program in Solidity and C++, and I think I've seen a couple where even in Java. So you can write your app in Java, and so there's a lot of changes coming, and I think that's what's needed. We need more developers.
Absolutely.
And when you get to, I guess, with the Web 2 programmers over to Web 3, rock and roll.
Yeah, no problem. It's going to be no problem. Now, before we get to the main attraction, we're under the hood, guys, and I love this. You got over it. We were talking about the validator stack, the validator situation the other day. Me and you, LMFG. I think I rated too. We were talking about this. 170. 27 countries involved here. They are seeking more validators as well from Monar Layer 1. They're actively asking people to validate on this particular chain. They got almost 200 validators. I thought they were above 200.
That's very impressive.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right off the bat. Nice.
Obviously very stable. You can see this real-time attributes here. It's like a real-time UI. And just think of this as like the dashboard on your vehicle. All your readouts real time when that engine is running. This is what this is, man. And I mean, it's pretty damn accurate too. 13 billion monads staked already, and it's going on 2 weeks in its actual life span. 2 weeks. It's going to be 2 weeks old. I'm pretty sure. I think he celebrated his first week. The hate is crazy. I don't understand it. But when you talk about the amount that's staked, guys, already 13.33 billion Monad with the current APY at almost 15%. You're not getting that at your bank. But this is a freaking gas coin that we're talking about that's already just hit the ground running, regardless of the price thing. Because that price thing, after a launch, they all do it. I could show you every top 10 chain. After it launched, it did the same damn thing. It pumped and then it dumped. All of them did that. And we'll look at this. Where is it at? I'll go back at it. I'm going to show you the chart because I just, the hate is crazy.
There was a site that was doing like a futures sale with Monad, and they were selling between 5 and 6 cents, even before the TGE.
Mm-hmm. No, you had some actual distributions before the ICO, I believe. But this thing they've been building it and actually getting things together for like, I think over 3 years. I think Gojo, am I right? Before this thing was actually launched, it was a 3-year period of development, getting things together, kind of like getting the game plan together. Am I right about that? I believe so. I don't know if Gojo's still with us, but I think so. I believe so. It's not like it just launched for the first time last week. These guys, it's been in test, and there's been some things, that have been done before the launch. But I got to tell you, looking at the chart now, it's at 2 cents, which is down almost 18% from the launch price, which was just a week ago, a little over a week ago. All of the top 10 changes, the top 25, AVAX, ETH, all those guys, they pumped and dumped when they were launched. I can show you, so this is nothing new. So I really don't understand. Now, I did read a post. The guy made a lot of sense. He said a lot of the KOLs was excluded from this. A lot of the actual pump and dumpers, the large influencers that are used to getting tokens, they were excluded. So there were
even sorry to interrupt you. I think it was Cook Capital.
Mm-hmm.
He made a post where he's like, once he receives his airdrop, he's just going to dump it.
Absolutely.
So
yeah.
Monad was like, we're just going to exclude a lot of you guys from the list because of saying that, because, that just shows that you don't actually care about the support for the ecosystem when we're trying to onboard you.
Absolutely. And I commend them for that. That's what every day, why do you want that? And I think that's where the FUD is coming from, bro. This guy posted that and I was like, you know what? He's got a point. They're just going to dump anyway. So if you could run this without involving that, why not? And I think you get Coinbase involved, and that stopped a lot of that because that early access program, it wasn't like pump.fun, guys. If you get, I don't know if you guys interacted with it.
Smart move.
It was a very smart move. And I think, the exclusion of the ordinary, activities pissed off a lot of KOL, pissed off a lot of people that are used to pumping and dumping what they get, for their services. And I think the Monad devs, they're getting a lot of flack. They're hated for that. But I want to commend them for that. I think that was great. I think all large projects should exclude all of that bullshit. Let's keep it straight. And I think involving Coinbase was great because, again, I think it was the first coin for the early access. They're actually the inaugural to roll that out, that particular product on Coinbase. So, and I think it went quite well. So 2 cents, man. I ain't going to tell you where I want it to go, because I don't want to piss anybody off, and I don't even think it's going to get to where I want it to go. But I'm slowly trickling, and I'm going to double my position because this thing is going to go bonkers. It's not financial advice, but I believe that this is going to shake up. It's already shaken up the particular situation. Look at what's on X. Massive amounts of FUDs for no reason at all, because it's a threat. This blockchain, this L1 is a threat, guys. Straight up. I'm just putting it to you 100%. I don't know how you guys feel about that as we move to the Gojo's meme here, because you are layered. You are deployed on this beautiful L1. Am I right, Gojo?
Yeah. So another thing that people don't factor, or like it is a factor with the FUD too, is Paradigm, right? And Paradigm was behind a lot of projects, including Magic Eden. I can agree with the pain points of why they would want to FUD it, but I feel like the way they structured Monad this time around has been completely different.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, I totally agree. Me and LMFG was talking about it. It was like, look at this FUD. This thing is so much of a threat. And like you said, I did do some research. I'm not blind to the fact that there are some legitimate gripes, some legitimate things that are, people have issues with that okay, I get it. I'm not going to go into it, because that's something that a lot of that, they need to figure that out. That's within the community. But I believe this trying to bring the whole ship down is foolish. I mean, you're not going to do it. Number one, this thing is not going to crash. I know Arthur Hayes said it was going to turn into a complete dog shit, and it was going to be a ghost chain. That is unbelievably wrong. I do not think that that's going to happen to this. This thing is too fresh. It's a juggernaut of a chain, and it's not going anywhere. Now, that hate, I can understand, especially if you didn't get a chance to get in like you used to get into. If I'm a KOL and I was excluded, I'd be pretty pissed too, because I know how they roll. But it is what it is. People are tired of that shit, I believe. Bobo G, what he says, door-to-door hospital. What is that? I don't know what it is. I missed that. But yeah, let's go ahead and move into this, because I want you to introduce this, man, because it's pretty intriguing to me. It's on a new chain, and I want to know your experience, man, your deployment experience. I don't know which one. I don't know if you use the which launcher or how you guys deploy it. I want to know about that. About your experience actually getting layered onto this particular brand new fresh blockchain. Tell us about your project, bro.
So the project that I came here today with is the Monar, right? It's the cat of Monad. It's kind of like a monopoly cat, on the chain. So we realized when looking at what we assess as the meta that, Chog is kind of like a Pepe-ish of Monad, and there's no real cat sender, right? Usually cats do extremely well on every single chain, including EVMs. If you look at Hyperliquid, I think Lily did like a few mil, as well on, BNB, there's Popcat on Solana, right? And, there's been no love for cats. We are the highest cat coin market cap wise and to run, right? We had an all-time high of 160K. Now, I'm not the dev, I'm part of the team. I help with creating the artwork and the concept. Just a little highlights of the dev. Every project he has touched has become a multi-million-dollar banger. He knows what he's doing. He's an XTF worker, right? And he has deep connections in the space. A few notable projects that he's done on Base. One was called Base Street. Almost ran to 100 million. And he's also been part of the Tsunami Finance, right? And Hop Aggregator for like 3 years on Sui. Okay,
so these aren't newcomers. These are seasoned deployers. They know what they're doing. Yeah,
he's in the space. Dev, personally knows people like Bob Blacks. Mitch from the Retardio knows the guy. A lot of the people that are part of the community are very well connected. They know what they're doing. They're pretty active. I like the experience working with them. And, even in like the TG, we're just trying to onboard people every single day. It's a good meme, right? People like cats. Cats are cuddly. Monad is purple, so Monar is purple, and we're gonna have like an NFT collection coming out soon, as well as like a Monopoly-ish game online, which is gonna be part of the website.
Okay, so let me stop you right there. So this particular situation is part of the am I pronouncing it right? The Monar cat. Am I pronouncing it right? Let me see here. I want to make sure I'm pronouncing it. Monar. Monar CAD. So what you just said is going to be part of this project. This is not just your ordinary meme. You guys are adding things. It's going to be multi-dimensional, right? It's not just going to be a singular approach to this meme.
Correct. We're constantly building. We're adding. Right. We want to like kind of solidify this as like a name brand within the ecosystem.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, and I want to look at this too. We're going to bring, because the charters are always a focal point as well. Now I was looking at this chart. It's pretty normal and you guys just launched it, so it looks like you're having a nice little reversal pattern that's showing up too as well. Talk to me about first. Give me your take on it, because I know you said is this your first experience with the memes and being involved with it, or?
No. Like I've launched and deployed like multiple projects in the past.
Okay.
I personally ran Apu, the OG one, on Solana. Hit like 3.5 mil. So I can walk you through the launch process for this one. So there's a lot of snipers in the Monad ecosystem. So like the way it's designed is that there's somebody, they have like sniper bots, right, on like
Okay.
new players freshly deployed. So we had a problem with trying to get supply control on test launches for it. What we had to do was off the rip acquire like 53% off the dev wallet,
Okay.
just to make sure that like nobody could mess with the floor. And then we had to see, okay, cool, who are our true holders, right? Who's just going to cheat on us for profit?
Yeah.
And you can see how the chart, we found the floor around like 30K, right? 33.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. Yeah.
And then, we let it settle down, and then we started pushing, going into Monday, which is today, right? Because we want to break into the new all-time high. But, now that the chart's been, stabilized for a few days, it gives like, enough data where there's enough history, and nobody's cheating, right? Because usually most charts won't last on Monad longer than a day.
Yeah, I was noticing that when I was looking at the complete lineup. I saw that, and you can see that little consolidation a couple of days, and then you can see the reversal clearly. That's starting to occur. 61,000 is that market cap right there. You said it. Yeah, I saw that around 30K was that floor. So walk us through this deployment. Now, which actual deployer did you use, or which particular?
We use Nads.fun.
Okay.
So Nads.fun right now is the only platform that actually gives you creator rewards.
Oh, okay.
They're going to release it to the public soon, from my understanding. As well, it gives you the most volume and eyes. Because if you look at the Bonk version, I think it was like Bonad, it does very poorly, and there's like a high taxation rate. And I think for like Bonad as a launchpad, right, in comparison to like Nad.fun, that's more of like a crime chain, meaning like the Bonk ecosystem, if they want to call it.
Did you say crime chain?
Yeah. Because like if you look at anything on Bonk, right, anything that's ran, right, it's gotten crimed, right? Like, let's be real.
It's very true. Yeah.
It gets crimed, right? It has like some type of like runner. If it bonds, it goes to like 300-400K, maybe a few mil. And you don't see any real projects bonding, right, on Bonad. On Nads, you see them happening quite so often. This weekend, not so much, right?
Yeah. It was kind of a slow week. It was a bummer weekend, I totally get that.
Thanksgiving, the holidays, now everybody's kind of back in, they're locking in. We're going to have a lot of projects, coming out of the woodworks this week, in my opinion.
Yeah, listen, this chain is so new. And you said this launcher, this deployer you guys use, it's not even actually available to the public. So you kind of got first dibs on it. So was it really smooth?
All right, so let me clarify. It's available to public. The creator rewards are not available. The rewards, okay. As of yet.
Got you. So that's a great incentive for creators. So, and this is a pretty new situation, right? This particular deployer. So, and I don't think you want to compare it to any others, like Pump or anything like that. This is kind of like the evolution of these launchers. This is kind of like your bigger, better, safer, more incentives involved. Would you say that?
I look at them all as like one and the same, honestly.
Because
I feel like once you start trying to like compare, you're gonna start alienating, right? Because like I come from
Good
Solana,
point. Yeah.
So when Bonk, right, came out as a deployer, they kind of failed because they singled themselves out. Instead of trying to work with everybody in the ecosystem, they wanted to be like a lone wolf, and they had a good run, right? But then their deployment history just dropped. Transaction volume dropped. They're more for themselves, not really the ecosystem, right? But when you compare Nad.fun, right, in the Monad space, it's one of the first launch pads. It's had the Chog, which is supposed to be like one of the official mascots for the Monad chain.
Yeah, was that one of the first ones, Chog? Because I hear a lot about that. A lot of people are really good and bad.
2 days after the Layer 1 was released, I think it hit like 13-14 mil all-time high.
Okay.
But if you have people that are getting backed by Monar launching on Nads.fun, it kind of tells you Nad.fun is going to be the standard, right, for launching or deploying.
And that's NAD.fund, is that dedicated for the layer one? Was that specifically built, or is it kind of like a cross chain type thing? You could use it. It's kind of a universal launcher, because I took it as it being an exclusive pad for the Monad ecosystem.
I took it as exclusive, right? Because if you look at
me too.
Right, because Printer is Bybit backed, right? They implemented Monad, but they're more predominantly multi-chain, right? So because this one's just more focused on Monad itself, I think there's going to be more trading liquidity focused on NAD.fund coins, because that's what all the traders are used to, or they're already trained to look for, right? Like if you use GMGN, or like GMGN is probably like your best for looking for like pairs, right? In like the trenches radar. Everybody just has NADS.fund selected, and they're not really selecting the other options.
Yeah. I checked it out, man. It's very easy, and it's integrated into X, so it makes it very easy to deploy what you got going on, man. So I like that. You got to simplify it, That's how you onboard more. You broaden your exposure by simplifying that bridge over into these infrastructures. And, DApps too need to be more simpler as well. I always say that. So what's the plan, bro? I know you guys are you're getting everything going. You have some plans on integrating more things into this particular meme. Are you guys actually pushing towards actually transitioning into something more of a utility as well? What's the plan? Give me like a 3-month plan. What's going on here?
All right, so I'm gonna keep it really simple. I think there's really not that much competition on Monad. I'm gonna be brutally honest here. I think the main focus is we want to focus on the meme, but we want to add fun concepts, right, for the community to be able to, enjoy, the meme itself. If we do add like utility, right, its predominant focus will be just for being able to use that as like a buyback mechanism into the chart, right? Even with the NFT collection, right? Majority of all those funds generated from that NFT collection will be used for buybacks of the chart. All we care about is the chart, the growth of the chart, so that, at the end of the day, the community and whom we're onboarding can all win, creating a PVE coin on that.
Nice. So we do have a plan. I believe like you guys are really trying to really place yourselves properly, especially as a first mover, part of the first mover group. You're definitely early, that's for sure, on this chain. So that means a lot. LMFG, what's your take, brother? This is first mover status is very important. We know this out in the real world is in this space as well. It's on a first mover blockchain, and I'm talking first mover stack, first mover under the hood internals when it comes to this build. And then we have a first mover, and you said the cat theme, the cat mantra. I believe this is Gojo. I want to make sure I heard you correctly. This is gonna be the first cat on the layer 1 too as well, right?
We're trying to position this as like the first like name brand cat
on
Monad, right? Because like if you look at like the animals on like the Monad Discord server, right? There's a hedgehog, there's a lizard, there's a weird giraffe with lips. That Kobe said he would hit. And the only one that's like doing well is Shog, right?
Right.
None of the top 10 are cats, and the thesis is cats will be the senders and most cycles. So we're just sticking to that thesis, right? If you're looking for a good cat meme, Monar is the place. That's just my opinion.
Absolutely. We seen what Whiff did. Man, what the Whiff
was a dog, right?
Well, there was a cat too. That
was Popcat.
Popcat, that's right. I said Whiff. That's what I meant, the Popcat with the circle mouth. And the memes on that thing was like kind of crazy though. There were some demented memes on there, and then there was the original meme. But yeah, the Popcat was crazy. I got a little piece of that. I had a little fun with that. LMFG, what you take, man? First mover meme, or first cat meme on the chain. Fresh chain. We were looking under the hood. This thing is like blazing fast. What you take, bro?
Nah, nice. Like you said, the first up at the plate, you get on first base, second, and you get and getting bases loaded and hit a grand slam.
Yeah.
You bring utilities in, right? And if you're using it, whether it's in games or whatever, and then down the road, see what you want to do and see what's out there, and work with other projects. You know, like he said, you know, you try to keep it all to yourself. You're gonna fail. You're not, you know, all these projects pounding their chest.
Yeah, you got a network.
Yeah, like look, everybody hates Hoskinson, like you said, because it's the competition. It's something that's better than what they got. So, and then here comes your flood. You know,
Absolutely.
Now, rock and roll, go Joe. Was that right?
Yeah, go Joe. Yeah, you're saying rock and roll, brother. Yeah, okay, you got a little background noise back there, brother. We can hear you a little bit though. We got you. I can make. Did you make it out, Gojo? He said rock and roll, man. He's giving you a thumbs up on that, brother. I believe it's
the love, man. I appreciate the love. The team appreciates the love.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Totally enjoying it. I'm keeping my eye on it as well. Again, I see the reversal, man.
I'm really impressed the way Monar came out. I was really impressed with the white paper and the way, and that's just the first one from Coinbase. So I have a feeling that Coinbase will be propping up and putting some monies into a lot of these projects because they want to make sure this thing rocks.
You bet.
They're going to let one a month go, if I'm not mistaken, and then they're thinking about 2 a month. Really, really smart.
Yeah, they're supposed to ramp up to 2? I think 2 a month or 3 a month, something like that.
Yeah, I'm not positive, but we'll see.
Either way it goes.
And they have a lot of cash.
Yeah, absolutely, brother, absolutely. So, you know, as you look back at the chart again, clearly the reversal is here, and I got to tell you, man, within the market, with the way the market is, it's going to be tough. I know you guys know it's going to be tough, but I think you're implanted on the right chain for growth, most definitely, and you got a plan. And it looks like you guys are going to be working hard, bringing those utilities in and bringing in you know, some outliers that are going to differentiate this meme. It's not going to be a one-trick pony, is what I'm trying to say. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's going to be doing different things here from what we get, what we're hearing, and which is good, which is very good.
I like the team personally, right? And like, you know, I'm like the one of least experience. I'm just good at talking, apparently.
Yeah.
I like people that are builders, right? I've never seen much like such a team that's like very dedicated and like building every single day. You know, when Thanksgiving was rolling out, you know, there was 5 people that were active every day. They're like, hey, you know, these are the posts, let's engage. Hey, our goal minimum should be to onboard, you know, 1 or 2 people minimum, you know, get them into their chart, you know, tell them, hey, this is the long-term conviction, this is our belief, right? Usually most people, if they don't see price action within a day, they're out. If they don't see price action within the first 3 hours, they are out, they give up, right? And, you know, I like working with dedicated people, right? The last project I worked on was Apu, and we spent an entire month and a half just, you know, grinding it out. You know, the chart was at like 25, 30K for the longest time. And then, you know, we were able to convince, you know, whales from the Ethereum Apu to come in, and, you know, we were able to like gig ascend it, right? Here, you know, it's going to be a grind. We've accepted the grind. The dev is a real Chad. You know, everybody in the team is a Chad, and the artwork is pretty good.
Yeah, it is, and that matters. You know, artwork does. That is the meme. That's the main core of the meme. The artwork, the actual conceptual design of it. So that's what people look for, and then obviously they dive deep too as well. But it looks like you guys got the plan. You got layers going on here. It's not just a singular notion. So, and you guys know what you're doing, and you're a first mover on a first mover chain when it comes to the tech. So something new, something fresh. You know, I think it's good. LMFG, your lasting take on it before we transition here.
Yeah, no, all good. Like I said, I'm very impressed. And a couple of my buddies, they missed it. Now they can get in. Cheaper than what everybody else did. Everybody else got a DCA. Rock and roll.
Yeah.
No, I'm very impressed. I'll be watching.
Yeah, most definitely. Good entry point too, by the way. Gojo, lasting impressions, bro. I'm glad you went into the deployment of it and what you used to. Currently up almost 93% within a 24-hour period. So again, nice reversal, bro. It's looking good.
Yeah, man. I'm just gonna keep it really simple. If you fade Monar, that's on you guys, but not financial advice. The project should do really well.
Yeah. Absolutely. I will be indulging, not financial advice for you guys, but I will be indulging. So, and again, thank you for coming. I don't know if you have time to, transition back to crypto news, but if not, we want to thank you for coming, bro. And we're going to keep an eye on it, and I'll keep in touch too as well.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Absolutely. LMFG. Let's go. You know what? I got to get to this because I want to get your take on this, Tim. He's dropping some new predictions. And let's get to this. Now, this is going to be Tom Lee. I'm sorry. I got the other CEO in my head. Now, Tom Lee, everybody's favorite commenter, everybody's favorite guy. He has some things to say about Bitcoin's all-time highs that apparently he shifted. He's moving the goalpost to January. Now, I don't think we're going to get all-time highs in January because when these fourth quarter reports, these financial reports come due, it's going to scare the living daylights out of a lot of people, especially the investors. But this is what he has to say about Bitcoin. He's moved the goalpost, guys. Let's see what he has to say here.
Do you think you'd be happy with 100 if it got back by the end of December, wouldn't you?
Yeah, in fact, I think it was looking good, like you said, over the weekend, and then we got a decline, sorry. Maybe because the Bank of Japan looks hawkish. Yeah. But I don't think the 4-year cycle, I don't think the Bitcoin high is in place. But you're right. We were too optimistic about this happening by December. But I do think Bitcoin can make an all-time high by the end of January. So I don't think we should think the highs are in place for Bitcoin or Ethereum or crypto. So a lot of it's going to depend on equities recovering, which we expect it to, and that helps the animal spirits, and I think a new Fed chair will help. And we have, as Becky said, when people got worried about a hawkish Fed, that kind of hurts the discount models, the discounted cash flow models like AI models, but it hurts crypto models too. So if we have a dovish Fed, that's really a tailwind.
So do you agree about the Fed notion? Like, it's a Fed rate cut. So it's not, it may be some quick pumping, at the end of the day, it's a Fed cut. That's not, LMFG, we'll go to you. And if Gojo's still here, we'll get his take on it. It's a Fed cut. But when it comes to that notion of the Fed dictating Bitcoin's price all the way up to 200K, I fall short with that. I don't think that's going to be the only thing that does it. I think that's a temporary pump. And then we go back down to normal ranges. After that Fed cut. And we don't even know if it's going to happen, right? It's not confirmed. It's not a foregone conclusion. In fact, 2 months ago, Jerome said that it's not even a certain. So LMFG, what you take on what Tom Lee said? Do you think he did move the goalpost to January. He's saying 200K is going to be the top next year. What you take on what he said, man?
No, I do expect a violent upswing at one time, but again, there's no way. Not unless that Clarity Act gets through, and you watch, they're going to keep kicking it down the road, like we've been saying. The banks are all over it with their lobbyists, and the OCC. I don't know how long it takes, but I think they have a limit on. So there has to be a date where they have to say yes or no to Ripple to become a bank. That's going to be huge. The Clarity Act will be huge. And once that stuff happens, I do see a violent, but I don't think it's going to be by January myself. No way. This thing is going to float. Wherever it hits here, it may get back up to 100 and it's just going to float. I might even see another dip. Who knows? Until that stuff gets in. And then once that Clarity Act, I think we're going to see a violent upswing. We'll see. Rock and roll. DCA as it goes down. That's all I can say. Blue chips.
Great opportunities for DCAs. Gojo, if you're still there, what you take on what Tom, I'm sorry, I had to say. He was he looked kind of worried. He's been all over the place. I don't know. It's a pretty interesting. Gojo may have left us today. I think he's gone. I agree with you, LMFG, on this.
Wait, can you hear me now?
Oh yeah, we got you, brother. You probably muted yourself.
I was muted.
Yeah, go ahead, brother.
So I like to look at all of this as orchestrated FUD by like mass media, the higher entities. Because I want people to fade crypto respectfully, like if they're weak, right? Like this is not the market for everybody. This is like really degenerate gambling, right? Just like stocks, all that other stuff.
Very true. Yeah.
So, if I get any opportunity to load the boat more and, be able to accumulate, more Solana, Ethereum, Base, Monar, anything via like meme coin trading, because, that's how I look at the crypto, right? I'm looking at meme coins as a vehicle to accumulate more. To build a treasure chest, right? And if I can get to my treasure chest at a lower cost average, right, that's better for me, so that when these peaks occur, right, my profit is going to be exponential.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Buying in the red. That's how you invest, man. I think this is one of those opportunities as well. I don't know if you guys agree, but I think, especially if Bitcoin goes south of $75,000, I think these alts are going to crash. And I think you're going to see a cleansing, a purge, if you will. A lot of the devs are going to get shaken out too. Everybody talks about shaking out retail and these investors. A lot of developers are going to be flushed out too. Forget about that. Lots of developers are going to pack up the ship. And they're going to abandon the ship. You got to see and we see this happen within the cycles. The purge is what I like to call it. This is uncharted territories where we're going now. So the purge could be dramatic on that end of the go ahead. I think it was Gojo.
Yeah, so I've been kind of like looking into just like exchange coins, right? Mm-hmm. So I noticed that there's like a trend, right? So just a few to like give example here, just kind of like so you can kind of understand where I'm thinking of. I'm looking at Aster, Crow, Hyperliquid, right? Pump, right? Because these are all coins that generate massive amounts of revenue that does buybacks, right? On a consistent basis, right? And I think like those are going to be the coins that have like longevity, minus Pump maybe, unless they're able to do something with their infrastructure that's like actually like game changing, right? But with Aster, Hyperliquid, and Crow, I think those are like like big three here. Maybe Uniswap, because Uniswap is also doing like a buyback as well. Off of the fees that they generated their product. I think those are the coins that people should be hypothetically hedging into, right?
No, I totally agree. Go ahead, brother.
No, I said I kind of finished. And then
okay. Yeah. I thought I cut you off. No, I agree with you. And that's the way you invest. And that's part of doing your research, because you're not going to find out what you just said and what you just kind of drew out there. That comes with research, and you got to do that on your own. A lot of the influencers aren't going to do that type of research for you. So, and then that's how you find those nuggets, right? Those diamonds in the rough, the ones and they're at the bottom. A lot of them are at the bottom. They're bleeding. A lot of people are running away from them, but they're legitimate situations. Like you're saying, you catch these ones that are down, that 20x swing, next year is going to be very violent. I think LMFG says it's going to be a very violent swing upward. And that's where you make your money. And you could stay there and swing a little bit more. That's what a lot of people in Solana did. 4 years ago, I think it was, when it was down below $100. I think how low did that thing get? I think Solana got down to $35 or something like that. It was pretty low,
like 20, 25.
Right. And we were laughing at it. We thought it was done. It was toast. Look at it now. It went up past 200. So if you did buy and caught that swing, you're probably a millionaire if you just depending on how much you put in it, right? So we're seeing the same thing with BNB as well. These are coins that have $1 billion in market, billions of market cap dollars, and a lot of people are scared of that. But when you have a large amount of utility embedded, you have that exposure, and you have ample development, ample transactional rate, full solid infrastructure. You see these swings, and they're pretty sustainable. I think BNB got over $1,100 before they this trend downward, I believe. So That thing was at $200 a couple of years ago.
I have a question for you, right? So
Yeah.
I have a weird philosophy or thesis, man, and maybe you two can actually like help me kind of like understand if I'm looking at this right. Since I'm a new guy, right? You guys are the experienced ones. I feel like the way crypto is going, with the halving happening towards the end of Trump's term, would it be wrong to feel like the crypto pump is going to be kind of correlated to a Trump or universal exit strategy before it goes catastrophic?
LMFG, you want to take that? And I'll give you my take on that too as well. Interesting. Yeah. I'll tell you this. I don't know if LMFG is still there. I will tell you this. As far as exit strategy, I don't know. He's got World Liberty Finance, right? He's already.
And they have a hedge fund, right?
Right.
They have positions, right? They started with what? I think it was like roughly $2 billion, starting capital, and
Which you know where they came from, right? They came from Binance, CZ Fund. He collateralized the stablecoin, everything. That's some Binance product, if you really want to, But I digress. That's a whole other story. But go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
And it had like a peak where it close to like what? It hit like 200 mil or 200 bill or something like that.
Yep.
In like equity value. So I know he has his own personal wallet, right? I know Barron has a personal wallet. Everybody in the Trump, is also invested. But, I think the World Liberty Finance is, kind of like their playbook.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's why I kind of pivoted to that, because I get what you're saying about Bitcoin and that exit strategy. But I think World Liberty Finance, that particular vehicle, they were very smart, by the way, to actually erect that. And again, they didn't know how to do that until they actually had the conversation with Binance. And Binance lended over a lot of tools, and they helped build that foundation for them. But I think the Trump bros is like what I like to call them. I think they're steering the ship now, and they know what they're doing. And you can just see the smirk on their faces. They're having a great time with that. And at the end of the day, they're going to be tokenized, and you're going to see a lot of tokenized real estate landing within that platform as well. One that's coined by the Trump family as well. We talked about that LMFG, that resort, that private resort that they're going to be building. They're going to put that's going to land on World Liberty Finance, a tokenized asset sector. So, dude, that thing is going to be massive if everything continues to snowball like it is now with regulation and things of that nature. But as far as, go ahead, LMFG.
Yeah, and they own, I think, 25% of American Bitcoin.
Yeah. There you go.
And
they have an ETF fund too. We must not forget about that. They have a basket that they're going to be launching to as well, and it's going to be a stakeable ETF, altcoin ETF basket. Multiple ETFs, altcoins are going to be involved. They're going to be able to be staked. So the money is crazy. The Trumpos, they're going to make a lot of money in crypto. I think it's an advantage that we have Trump is the president at this time. It's a huge advantage. Some say conflict, but I digress from there. So I don't know if you were done, LMFG. I think I stepped on you.
Yeah, no, that's all. That's all I wanted to say.
No,
And so much is going to change. It really is. I think at the next halving, I think you're going to see a lot of consolidation with the miners themselves. Mm-hmm. Because what are you going to, it's almost going to be, unless Bitcoin's at some $500,000, but still the odds of grabbing something, unless you got something like American Bitcoin and you got one of these data warehouses that, and you know me, I hate the water, and I'm watching it. I just seen the thing where they showed you the racks and everything. You have these 4-inch water pipes and water tubes going into all these servers, man.
Yeah. They're mining like crazy. Yeah, the Trump bros are mining like crazy. I think they upgraded that facility. They added some more cooling. I mean, they're doing it all. And they're writing legislation. It's kind of crazy, man. They're going to be able to basically, tailor this regulation to their advantage. That's what pisses off a lot of congressmen right now. It's like, what are you doing? This is a huge conflict of interest here. You can't do this. All these languages are going to be tailored to cater to what the Trump bros are establishing right now. This is the consensus. I don't know. Gojo, do you think there's anything wrong with that? I don't know. A lot of people do. Can't do anything about it, but I don't know. That's a pretty good advantage. I don't know. And then we have the Trump, the Milana meme coin is being brought up again because apparently it has been completely juiced. There's no more juice left.
All right, so I was talking to one of my mentors, Shogun, Immutable on X, about this specific paradox, right? And Trump should have waited a few months before launching Melania. Melania just felt like extreme extraction, and it kind of like ruined the ecosystem, right? Because like we were in a market where it was just like rotations based, right? And it was much easier to trench. But then once Trump occurred, right, we felt like that was the top. But then when Melania came out, everybody who made like substantial gains off of Trump, right, or they made 6 to 7 figures, trading meme coins from Trump, because they full ported, they gave back and they lost a lot of their money from Melania right afterwards because they got too greedy.
I agree. So, go ahead.
When we transitioned right into, I guess, like the state that we're in now, we kind of identify it as a kangaroo market, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
You don't know where the market is going to define itself, and you don't know what the players are going to do to try to bring some type of life or longevity into the market again. Because right now, liquidity in retail is like at an all-time low. I don't know if you look at like the active wallet users on Solana, but around the time of Trump, and I think you can look this up, right? There used to be about roughly 7 million users, like organically, based off of IPs. Now we're less than about maybe like 1 million right now currently, and it's a lot of PvP amongst each other.
Wow. Yeah, that's you made a great point about the extraction aspect of that coin because of the way it was launched, right? The exposure that the Trumps have, they brought a lot of retail into that, as well as Trump too.
We can't just single out Trump here. You also have to look at Libra.
Absolutely.
To look at AI, meta that occurred before then, right?
Which was absurd. That AI meta is absurd, bro. A lot of that is.
I love that meta. I thought it was the most skillful format, right? Because literally on Pump Fund, right, from like a Solana perspective, it was a very specific metric, right? You needed to auto bond, right? Because they're not going to give retail like you and I entry, right? Pre-bond, and they have to bundle it up to like maybe like 200-300K before they rip it, right? Because they need absolute supply control because of like any rat gets into the bundle early, they can mess up the chart, they can extract liquidity, and it also introduced AI market making protocols, right? So not many people are aware of this, but there are at one point market making protocols that were on timers, right? So if there wasn't enough, organic volume or users in a chart, they would be kind of created in a way where they just automatically nuke, right? So a lot of these EVM chains don't have that, but Solana, it still exists, but it isn't in heavy play anymore.
Yeah, because of the initial driver, which was the meme coins, and then Pump. I think Pump destroyed Solana. Arthur has a take on this.
I think Solana was helped by Pump Fund, right? Because if you think about it, right, how much Solana is locked because of these meme coins being deployed?
Yeah, but the lasting effect is it's pretty grim, bro. You know what? I love that we're on this because I want to play this, and then I'm gonna get your take on this because the author speaks on this, and I agree. I don't agree with a lot of what he says, but when it comes to what really drove Solana, and active, I think it's where's it at? $123, and there's some market pressure as well. I'm not trying to say. By the way, Bitcoin moved up to 85,000, 124 as we transition to this Arthur Hayes statement on this what we're talking about. 124, that $200 move upward. That was pure meme. Yes, some NFT, yes, some DeFi there as well. It's not really negate that, but it was all meme activity that was basically usurped. That was basically stolen from the other chains. ETH took a big hit when Pump was deployed because a lot of that meme coin action, although very expensive to partake, it was there. it was extracted and it would move to Solana. Now that is gone now. It's not all the way gone, but it's subsiding because you have these newcomers, right? Like Monar. This thing is going to really shake the hornet's nest, as we like to say, right? LMFG. That thing is going to shake the hornet's nest pretty briskly. I want you to listen to Arthur and what he's saying about this meme coin driven activity and how it has basically maimed Solana essentially.
Driven by meme coins. The meme coin activity was on Solana.
I'm gonna bring it back so we can hear it in its entirety.
I think the Solana move from 7 to 300 was driven by meme coins. The meme coin activity was on Solana. Obviously, meme coins have sort of died in terms of activity relative to what it was in sort of like 2023 and 2024. Solana needs a new trick. I don't know what that new trick is, but again, it's the number 2 largest L1. I think they'll find something. Will it be enough to power price performance greater than Ethereum? I don't think so, but I think pretty much every other L1 besides Ethereum or Solana is a 0. It took all these organizations like...
No, I disagree with that statement. They're not going to 0.
You know, your large banks, a very long time to understand that all these bullshit projects that were sold to them by a bunch of ex-TradFi people trying to do crypto like R3 and Corda and these sorts of things is nonsense. You can't have a private blockchain. You must have a public blockchain for security and to actually have real usage.
I disagree with that as well.
I think the message has finally started to get through, especially with the stablecoin narrative. And so you're going to see large banks start doing crypto and Web3 using a public blockchain. I think the public blockchain will be Ethereum. And that's what is going to power this sort of next move higher in Ethereum. They might build an L2 that has some sort of privacy features, or there'll be some sort of like whitelisted CD file, that nonsense that people talk about. But it's then the substrate, the security layer is still Ethereum. The Ethereum community might have to revise how fees are distributed between secrets or fees at the L2 level and then what is paid at the security level at the L1 level at Ethereum. That's a debate worth having within the community. But at the end of the day, whether it's an L2 that's based on Ethereum, like Arbitrum, Optimism, these sorts of things, or it's the L1 Ethereum, this whole ecosystem is going to be used by TradFi to achieve whatever they want to do within Web3.
So in a nutshell, you start off with the meme coins. You have this boom. What's next, right? Because we have this age of enterprise, guys. We have this age of utility, RWAs, tokenized assets. Can Solana facilitate that in its current state? I would argue probably not, but I agree with the notion of what do you go after the meme coins? Now, the meme coins have their space. They're not going anywhere. They've been actually solidified by the president. He had 2 of the really big ones, right? What do you get what he's saying, Gojo? And this is why I say Solana and we've been saying this for a while, me and LMFG. Solana has a big conundrum here. They got to figure this out because they're entrenched. They're number 2, right? How do they facilitate what's coming? How do they actually, reconfigure from meme activity, NFTs, to enterprise solutions? This is what Arthur is saying.
All right, this is a really good question here. So I think Solana, Base, Ethereum, right? I don't know if you've seen like the transition that's been going on Base, but it's been a lot of proprietary tech, right? So like, investors are looking for that. Solana kind of still has the meme narrative. But a lot of people are kind of transitioning into businesses that are tokenizing themselves, which is really good. Ethereum is kind of like slow and lackluster-ish to some degree.
It is,
outside of Base. But I don't think Solana's done for the count, right? You had Cupsy and the Fortnite kids coming into Solana. They brought a lot of volume into Solana meme coins when the trenches were dead. So we can't discredit meme coins completely out of the equation.
No, absolutely. They have their place. They're not going anywhere. It's a hallmark. It's part of the culture. They're not going anywhere. I would not dare say that. But yeah, go ahead, brother.
But recently, this is just this was a project I found on Base. This isn't a shill. This is just something that I have long-term conviction in. It's called Nemesis Exchange, right? So they're looking to compete with Uniswap, right? They're sitting at like a mil market cap right now. They had like a raise, I think it was like 20 mil, and out of that 20 mil, 5 mil was raised from the AI16Z DAO themselves. The DEX has not been released yet, but right, anything that VC groups are investing that amount of liquidity into is worth taking note, right? Like
absolutely, yeah.
You remember the coin MLG?
No, I don't think I remember that one. I don't think I caught that one. What is that?
That ran to like $500 million market cap. Face Clan was part of it.
Okay.
Face Banks kind of like ruined his reputation, had to like step down. He had Aiden Ross like buying like I think like close to like 100K and just rugged him.
Oh wow.
Stream. And
okay, so I did remember that floating around on X. So that was the coin. Because I remember that. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so David Rivera, right, the founder of FaZe Clan, he kind of wants to transition into creating tech. So he's doing an AI infrastructure technology on Base and Solana, but it's predominantly going to be base located.
Wow. Okay. No, I remember that floating around. That was a pretty interesting thing. The Aiden Ross video. So that's what that was. So.
Yeah, like that. Like I don't know. I just feel like it's like transitions, right?
Like
yeah. Right, like privacy meta became a thing because of like Zcash and Monero, right? So like on Base, there's a lot of like privacy coins and like tech where people can be able to use like virtual credit cards now, right? Using Base or like I think it's like Mute and machines at the moment, where you're able to load a virtual card. They got all the financial documents and with banks in place, where you can load up like a D app, and if you want to use a virtual card for like regular spending online IRL, you can do that.
Yeah. It's bro. It's we keep saying its space is evolving, but then when I look at what I just looked at, it was an Altcoin Daily post there with Arthur, and he was sharing that he had some pretty truthful words. You can say what you want to say about Arthur, but he did speak the truth on that. Solana's gonna need a new trick, and they're gonna need it fast. Now I believe they'll be smart guys. I think they'll figure it out. Maybe they have to fork. I don't know. I don't know how the node client is doing, the Frank and Dan. So I don't know. LMFG, have you seen any news? Did they implement that? I don't know.
No, I haven't. I haven't been into mind there on Solana.
Well, I will tell you this: they're going to do what they can do. I don't think they're going to just let it. I'm with you, Coach. They're not going to just let it fall. It's not just going to go to number 25. It's currently number 2 right now when it comes to that particular environment. But they did steal a lot of action from ETH, and it's because of what you just said earlier. Not only is it expensive, because a lot of people think that ETH has become less expensive. No, the transactional rate is just lower. The GUI is low. Right, there's no burn at this point in time when it comes to ETH. So there's very low volume, so very low activity when it comes to development. The memes are gone. The ones that are there, a lot of people aren't partaking because they can go to Solana, they can go to other chains and partake and spend pennies. You know what I'm saying? Then you have this new kid on the block. This new layer 1 we're talking about, Monar, very cheap, very fast. And lightning fast, by the way, and it seems to be very stable. Now we will get that volume going into the new year, and we're going to see how those RWAs actually function within those marketplaces that are on this L1. We will get a full scale, I believe very soon, a full scale real world stress test. We'll get that, and I think it's going to do very well. We've seen how Solana performs under stress, Gojo. We know how that looks. So, under real world activity, RWA activity, tokenized asset enterprise activity, we can't have that, brother. That chain cannot choke under real world activities. That'd be catastrophic, especially when it comes to payments, things of that nature. This is what we taught. This is what I want Solana to do. I need to grow up and be able to facilitate that, because if they can capture that, I think that's a win for Solana, big time. And then that's when we can go to $500, maybe $1,000 per token. I don't know. What do you guys think?
So, this is my take because, like, I'm on X Spaces quite often. My mentors on Spaces, because we're all about like promoting growth and knowledge and just trying to build our communities. One thing we did take away strongly was we had CZ pull up on one of our Aster Spaces.
Oh, nice.
Not too long ago, and we need more founders to actually get into the trenches and talk to like the people that matter.
I totally agree.
Posting like Solana, Pump Fun, Shui didn't really have, Adenli, pulling up to spaces, kind of supporting the trenches, right? I've never seen Vitalik do that. And, a lot of like the top 10 chains, I've never really seen a lot of the people there, come out to the trenches, see what the situation's like, take advice from the people that are there, right? Because there's into the user base and, KOLs, they have their communities, right? So if you can't be supportive towards the communities to try to like, see what the issues are, and you're not taking that time to just, connect, right? Because, CZ, when he was there on the space, right, you can actually check it out. It's on Shilin Villain's wall. He was there for like 4 hours and he answered,
so he didn't just stop by, he kind of hung around. Okay.
Yeah, he hung around, he answered as many questions, right? He even connected with people on the back end, and he's like, yo, if you guys have like serious projects or serious teams and you guys need fast track onto Binance, let us know how we can help you as much as possible, right? Yeah. I've never seen, Toli, and Toli's kind of funny, right? Because Toli, in order for you to get his time, you have to spend, I think it's like $300 per minute.
What?
Yeah. One of my boys has personally paid 20 bands to speak to Toli for a meeting about doing WRA for music.
20,000. Did you hear that LMFG? Was he a rock star? What the hell? Damn. Yeah, you know what? You made a great point. They really need to reach out. They really need to get in touch. LMFG, you said this a lot too. There's a lot of these devs need to really reach out. Really, I don't know why they don't. There may be language barriers there, But I think, Gojo, you hit on a great point that we talk about a lot, the communication factor with a lot of these entrenched individuals that a lot of people would love to hear from. Just, you know what I'm saying? That makes a lot of sense.
And you see Hoskinson, he's been out there like crazy, but I think he's pissing a lot of people off too if you hear him talk. Calling people idiots and stupid.
Well, he gets a little sauced up before he comes on.
Getting out there like Trump.
Yeah, maybe not that type of interaction, but Charles doesn't care.
But he's been really hitting it hard, and that's what he's been saying. They've been working with Solana, Ethereum. I don't know if you've seen the last couple of podcasts he did, and he even did a space. He hosted a space. I didn't listen to it, but we'll see.
No, you're right, Gojo, man. You're right, brother. I think that they're gonna have to start doing that, especially if they want these, like with the Monar devs, man. They're out there. They're on Twitter, they're chirping, they're fighting the FUD, putting out proper information, because there's a lot of misinformation out there. So I like to see that. I like to see devs fight, especially if they're getting talked about in a negative way. Don't hide, don't hide behind, the BS. Get out there and fight for your product. Get out there and fight with the community. I think that shows me a lot. And that's what I'm seeing, and especially if you're a dev of one of those NFT projects. Make the community whole. You talk to them, ask them what do we need to do different to make these NFTs better, make this thing turn this ship around,
So when I was in Sui, right, I had so many friends that were not successful, right, on Solana. When they moved over to Sui, they would have spaces for like the Sui community. They were able to build names for themselves, right? But the problem that they faced was that they never received any type of recognition from the founders, the Sui Foundation. And this is like probably one of the best examples because they got very frustrated, right? Yeah. They would pay people to be ambassadors that really didn't do anything, right? They paid the wrong people. And, it gets really tiresome after a while when, if you're running spaces for the ecosystem, right, you're promoting, blue chip projects, really good NFT projects. Your intent is to also educate the community, just build more people, onboard them into the ecosystem.
Yeah.
And they're not getting that love or reciprocation, right? And then Monad, right, comes along, testnet, and a lot of the founders are interacting with, people that spend hours, grinding out on spaces on, Sui, and a lot of people just converted over, right? Because they're like, look, this is the first time we've ever had a founder engage, or retweet our post. And I'm just there like, you know what, maybe that's what, crypto needs right now. More founders to interact with the normal people, right? The people that have, 50 to 100 people spaces.
Absolutely.
If you don't have a community or you don't have a user base, how are you going to be able to grow and, get your brand to, more elevated levels of user awareness?
Absolutely. No, man, I wish I had my clapper. Because LMFG, we talk about this. That interaction is needed across the board. You got to get out there. You have to get out there, because I think a lot of investors, they really react well to that. It's a sense of security, man. If the guy that's pushing the keys and is coded this monster, if he's talking to me, if he's out here, in the trenches with us, man, that's a great thing to have. When it comes to that security. Now, we know we have some at the end of the day that do this, and, it's still bad, but that's a very small percentage. Most of the guys that put their actual face out there, not even just the face, but the voice and the presence, they mean business. They're trying to make a difference in this space, By the way, that Monad TVL actually took a turn for the positive. We're back in the green now when it comes to TVL. That reversal is happening, so that's really, really good too. Love to see that. Because that was part of the FUD. Oh, the TVL is taken. Blah, it's dead. It's a ghost chain. Well, you have a reversal here, which is great. I wanted to report that. LMFG, what's your take, brother?
100%, man. If you don't get out there, and everybody's like, oh, yeah, join Discord. But then you go on a Discord, and there's not too many there except for, You want to be out there and seen.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a great point, Gocho. We talk about that a lot. I'm just glad to hear somebody else say it, because I think that's very important. And you, with you being entrenched with this particular meme, you already understand how important that is, especially when you guys talk. So with the community and stuff. So we didn't talk about the community. So you guys have pretty robust following, pretty good active community with this meme.
I would say it's forming, right? I was part of the Pepe on Monar project, right? And a lot of the people, and this is just an example, right? So a lot of the people that are part of the dev team and part of the community were part of the original Sui on Pepe team, right? So Sui on Pepe, or Pepe on Sui, ran to a few mil, right? Really good people. And, now they want to bring that same action because, the Sui trenches are dead. CETUS kind of took a huge blow to a lot of people's liquidity. Yeah. And, they were able to onboard their community, right? Because to them, this is a second chance. I think Monar, right, for the most part, is going to be a second chance for a lot of builders, right, that either had an opportunity on other chains or they couldn't grasp it properly, and they'll be able to get more recognition, right? Because what people are looking for, right, on these newer chains really early from the trenching perspective is the following. They're looking for good memes, right, good tech, right, and they're trying to see, consistency, community, right, because as days pass by and they see a stable floor, that creates investor assurance, right? So, to people listening, right, usually if you're looking at any type of, product, you want to see what the longevity is like, you want to see what the user base is like, and it gives you a better determining factor to be like, all right, cool, is this where I want to place my money?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, man. This has been great, man. A great conversation here. By the way, I know you guys see the indicators here. We're still sliding. Currently, the market cap is trying to move back over 3.0 trillion, by the way. The volume is still robust, but it's negative volume right now. Bitcoin, $85,000. Ethereum, that is a rounded off approach to Bitcoin. I still think we're going to hit 83 before midnight. It's probably going to be some more trading overnight too as well, to the negative range. But XRP did get back over $2. Bitcoin dominance is still absolutely tremendous right now. So I don't know about you guys. I'll go to LMFG with this. Will we see alt season? I do not think we're going to see altcoin season for the rest of the year. Maybe Q3 2026 after all this shit rolls downhill. LMFG, your take on altcoin season? Will we have it, or is it just a pipe dream at this point in time?
Yeah, again, once everything goes, the altcoins will follow just because of the Bitcoin taking off. But once the laws go in, and then you're going to see a lot of projects disappear because they're not going to be able to handle whatever laws come out.
Yeah.
And that's when you're going to see, I think, a lot of liquidity move into the blue chips. You know, and hopefully Monad's one of them.
I believe so.
Rock and roll. We'll see. Again, like I keep saying, this is the future, guys. All voice data and video communication. It's coming. Yeah. Just got to wait for the cutover. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Very true. Hand clap to you, brother. ETH is leading that charge when it comes to outflow, which is crazy. You can see it in the ETH price too. Bitcoin is obviously leading it, but ETH is really close at just over 300 billion. It's crazy, but you got a lot of stablecoin inflow that's coming in too as well. It's very, the dynamic is so strange. Go Joe, your take on altcoin season, because I see that kind of chirping a little bit. That's coming up on X, crypto Twitter, X Twitter, if you will. Alt season. What's your take on that?
So I think with the market right now, I think we will have an altcoin season. I think what the market is doing is they're trying to train people to just hold spot versus like leverage, because this is a lot of liquidations, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of people have been liquidated drastically, right? We're seeing it in both directions, and it's been happening quite frequently, right? The flash crash that occurred not too long ago kind of made me realize that, I do not want to touch leverage trades for the time being, right? I think a leverage trade, you take a micro scalp, you're not holding unless you can find a definitive bottom and your liquidation point is so low that you have the equity to be able to back it up. I think that's like a key point that I've been kind of like taught, where if example, right? People are like, the bottom is in, right? They'll take a long. If anybody took a long at that liquidation point during the flash crash, and, it bounced back, they should have not got greedy. They should have just exit out. Some people, exit out. We'll say maybe 20, maybe 10% to be exact. It's all fabricated numbers, but a lot of people round tripped a lot of the gains, and then now they're in the red. So it's just we're going to see wealth transfer occur, right? The people that are trained, right, will be able to win out of the situation. But I think we were talking about this earlier, or I think having capital preservance or just proper money management is going to be very crucial for successful people in the market, right? If you can just hold spot, it's rewarded.
No, absolutely. I totally agree. This RSI is I think it's off. I really do. It's registering a lot of oversold positions. I don't know. I think we're in the middle there.
You look at heat maps when you look at the charts and stuff like that?
Yeah, I tend to look at the heat maps slightly, but the RSI, I kind of keep an eye on this. Oversold, I guess you could say there's a lot that they're registering that is oversold. Some of them I disagree with, but because they're good projects, but the actual overbought situation that is so minimal right now. And these is opportunities that we're talking about. Just look at the oversold side of this map on the bottom here. There's so much green here. There's so many opportunities here. Some that we know very well. Then there's some that will be an ETF in a couple of days, which is Link. Grossly oversold, almost $10. That ETF, that thing always pumps. We saw what happened to HBAR when it became an ETF. That thing went up pretty fast, but it sold off very briskly, right? So, and I always tell people with these ETF launches, especially in this environment where the sell pressure is so high, be looking for the whales to slam the door. on their way out. And that's what we saw with these recent ETF launches. So I believe this is going to happen to Chainlink, and I think that's going to give people an opportunity to get in and maybe get a 20x going into Q3 2026 once all this shit rolls downhill. What do you say, guys? I mean, look at the chart. A lot of oversold situations here.
I personally, if I'm market making or like I'm big money, I wouldn't want to give retail prime generational entries, right? Because I think there's
That
going to
makes
be,
sense. Yeah.
I think there's going to be massive upheaval, right? Like a massive upside, and I think they're just like conditioning us as retail to like lose hope, not really want to hold, right? Like I know a lot of old money, like I know Chinese whales. I know, like, whales that have businesses that, have, large portfolios, and most of them have sold out, right? They're waiting for a definitive bottom, right, before they even load. And I think they're going to miss that window, and they're going to end up top blasting at the wrong point.
I think they're overshooting it because of what's going on with Japan. Unprecedented actions there. And they're looking at the carry trade. They're looking at the yen, right? They're looking at what's going on in Japan, bro. And I think this is what's causing a lot of turbulence. It's people are starting to really talk about it, but it's underreported right now. But I think at the end of the day, we don't want them to go up on those rates. Now, they got a lot of debt. They got to do something, because they're in a worse position than we are. And we're pushing 40 trill. And the interest is like crazy on that debt. So they're going to have to make some decisions. And the decision that's made in Japan is going to affect the entire global market, especially when it comes to liquidity. So I think a lot of these big players, like you just mentioned, a lot of these huge institutions that are holding these risk assets, they are shaking in their boots right now. And that's why they're moving out. They're trying to secure that money, the profit. They're trying to capture what they can because, the smart money always gets the memo before retail. They always get the news before we do. By the time we get the good news or the bad news, it's too late. The big guys have already made moves. So, and if you know what to look at, you'll see what's going on, and they're moving. We can see it on these charts. Look at the stock market, bro. I mean, we can pivot to that before we close here.
Real quick, right, while you're just going to the stock market, LMFG brought up something earlier about the 4-year cycle. I think we're transgressing out of the 4-year cycle. I think we're getting into bigger time frames now.
I totally agree.
And I do believe, right, that what in our head of the 4-year cycle, this is the end. I think that's a lie. But, again, I'm new to all of this, right? So, like, I'm just hypothesizing. I'm looking at the narrative that's being painted, right? Last time we had the entire timeline, on social media, YouTube as completely bearish, right? The switch flipped, right? So I'm just waiting for that point, and I'm just accumulating, right? Because it's all you can do at the end of the day, right?
That's it, yeah.
Position accordingly.
You got to make sure you're buying the right thing, because a lot of these particular positions are going to evaporate. Like I was telling, these devs are going to pack up and leave. LMFG, we speak about that a lot. Gojo's right. What's your take on that?
Yeah and no, though, because I don't think it's going to follow suit to habits. I think it's going to back off of that. Like I said, unless Bitcoin is at $250,000, who's going to be mining? I think there's going to be a lot of consolidation, a lot of changing in this aspect. We'll see. Again, we don't know. Because there's going to be so many changes over the next couple of years with crypto as a whole. And the full cutover where everything's your computers are going to be running blockchain.
Yeah, that cycle is dead though. These are new times we're in. He's right about that. I say that a lot. It's we got some new things that are going to be coming into fruition going into this next decade, especially if everything. These next 4 years or 3.5 years are going to be very important to crypto. As far as Bitcoin, very important. We did get a formally nomination of Kevin Hassett for Fed chair from Trump. So that, there was another guy actually that was in the runnings too as well. But apparently Trump has formally nominated Kevin Hassett, I believe. So this is the guy. Some say he's a tool. Some say he's a puppet. And Trump has the arm all the way up to the larynx. He's going to be a tool for Trump. And I think a lot of specifically Japan and other nations, I don't think they like that, because Trump wants these rates to go to 1%. That's going to set the inflation it's going to skyrocket. Essentially, hyperinflation. Here we come. At 1%. So, and then you have this particular tightening going on in Japan potentially. This is a recipe for a disaster. But I digress from that. Kevin Hassett, the nominated chair officially, is what I'm seeing here. Now, when it comes to Bitcoin, this is something that the Senator Cynthia Lummis has been screaming for, and she's actually came out. I'm going to flip to this real quick before we end with the stock market, and it was about the conversion of Bitcoin and the actual government's holdings of gold, that gold to Bitcoin conversion. And the result is to actually eliminate the debt. This is what I don't like, because that's a lot of money, right? And that could maim Bitcoin. I don't like this notion, but I want you guys to hear what she has to say here, because this is what she's pushing here. Very, very hard, by the way.
If you were to acquire 5% of the world's Bitcoin, roughly.
She's a little low.
And hold them for 20 years, you could cut the national debt in half. And so
I'm going to run this back because she's a little low. Listen to her.
If you were to acquire 5% of the world's Bitcoin, roughly 1 million, and hold them for 20 years, you could cut the national debt in half. And so I view a Bitcoin strategic reserve as a means to address the national debt. And because our bill would allow the U.S. to acquire Bitcoin for that purpose without using new borrowed money to do it, it's just taking existing assets that we have that are undervalued and applying them to Bitcoin, which is over a 20-year period going to increase in value. So that's
a huge assumption that Bitcoin would actually, occur that type of additional trajectory upward of value, essentially.
I don't think it's wrong, right? So a lot of the older people, they're looking at cryptocurrency and Bitcoin as a metric towards keeping like all the nation superpowers in check, right? Because now all of their money's tied in. They're all basically forcing, a handshake agreement, right? Mm-hmm. Where they have to preserve capital together, right? Because if any nation were to just, liquidate their entire position, right? We don't know what type of effects that could cause, right? But that could also cause potentially war.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. But the actual idea, the actual foundation of this idea, so what I'm trying to say, is an appreciation factor that I don't think Bitcoin can achieve over a 20-year period. We just don't know if it's even going to appreciate that high. I mean, we're talking, and then within that appreciation period, our debt could fucking quadruple under this model. So I don't know. This is, I don't know, man. I mean, it's interesting, obviously. But I think the conversion, taking the gold, we don't know if it's even in Fort Knox. We don't even know if we still have that gold, but she wants to just completely convert the gold into Bitcoin. I think that is very careless. I mean, I think if you look at gold and silver right now, look at them, just look at them. That is a great barometer. And that tells you what's really going on with fiat. That tells you what's really going on with the reserve currency.
But it's not good. If I'm not mistaken, didn't Trump convert all of the paper gold notes into Bitcoin, right, during the start of his presidency last year?
That's something that I couldn't confirm that. I'm not sure. I think she's talking about the physical gold that supposedly is being held. I don't know where it is, honestly. We were supposed to be doing an audit on that. LMFG, did we get that audit? I don't think so. I don't think we got that order.
Nope, never came. Too fruition. What's going on?
Yeah, I think.
If I'm not mistaken, too, I think Russia, right, when Trump became president, cleared all of their Bitcoin and they hedged it into gold.
Okay. Yeah, exactly. The exact opposite of what she's proposing. Now, obviously, I don't think Russia's dealing with a almost $40 trillion debt with interest that's like completely insane, right? I think we're taking out loans just for the interest. So this 20-year period is like not feasible. Our debt could quadruple by then. So does Bitcoin appreciate? It would have to be well over $1 million. I don't know. It's probably just like knee-jerk math there, but man, but I get it. I totally get it. But I just thought that, the conversion of, that's very, I wouldn't want to do that comfortably, especially if the gold does exist. We don't know if it exists. But Elon Musk tried his hardest to get that audit, and he couldn't do it. So Trump said he's going to get it done. So if we do get that audit, we do have this gold. I don't think I would convert that because gold is going, it's really headed towards 5K right now. Silver is headed towards $95 right now. That tells me a lot. That tells me a lot. And that market is particularly, it's reacting to Japan. That's what that market is doing. And these actions are forcing Japan, I believe, to raise their rates 1%. That's going to change the game across the board.
Is Japan pro-crypto or the anti-crypto?
I don't think they're anti. In fact, I think China's more anti-crypto. Did you see what they just did? They just really tightened the leash on stablecoin activity, crypto in general. They reaffirmed and reiterated their stances on basically anti-crypto activity. They're clamping down. So Japan, not so much, right? Not so much. I think there's a blockchain that's actually been corralled by Japan. It's going to be used for product placement. SEE, I believe, is what it is. C chain or something like that. It's going to be the hallmark chain for Japan. So I think they're pro crypto. I could be wrong, but I believe they're all pro crypto.
I just looked it up. They actually have the best rates versus America, right? Because America on short-term capital gains is like what, 40%, and starting next year, Japan's going to implement the 20% fee, right, for crypto games across the board. Yeah, which I think is like very good, especially for like trying to onboard people. And it looks like they have a lot of like regulations in place that just scream like very bullish. Yeah,
they're crypto friendly, but they're collapsing. That's the thing. They're very crypto bullish, but the state of Japan is in limbo right now because of what's going on. That carry trade is on it's in balance right now. The market is forcing the government there to make some very interesting decisions coming within the next year. They're gonna have to make those decisions. So I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know what they're gonna do, but I believe the market is gonna dictate it because they've been negative for too long. Those interest rates have been below zero too long. You can't do that as a country and continue to build up debt like that. Sooner or later, you're gonna have to pay that ticket, the piper, the chickens, preferably. They're gonna come home and they're gonna be roosting very, very loud. Jason Pop says Sony's in the stablecoin game as well. Yeah, Sony did launch a stablecoin. That's a whole nother issue right there. We have treasury bonds that are linked to those stablecoins. You're gonna see a lot of stablecoins launched. Because that's because they're going to have to purchase bonds as well, treasury bonds. By the way, before we get out of here, let's go ahead and flip to the stock market. 10-year bond up almost 1.26. I was going to say 1.5%. This thing is back up again, right? 30-year getting pretty close to 5 again. It's almost up 2%. Those two indicators tells me a lot about what's going on, guys. All right. So the smart money looks at things like this. They don't look at charts. They don't look at what we look at. They're not looking at who's pumping and dumping. They're looking at 10-year and 30-year. They're looking at Japan's bonds, right? They're looking at what's going on with the carry trade. Is it going to survive? Or are we still going to have that for the next 5 or 6 years? Or we're going to be able to take advantage of that. Because that's your liquidity across the board. So S&P down almost 1%. Dow Jones down 427 points. NASDAQ 92 points down and dropping as well. NVIDIA did come up a little bit, but when you look at the actual Nikkei, almost down 2%, guys. Futures don't look too well. This could flip overnight, or it can get even worse. So I digress. It's we have some good points, but at the same time, we need to really, really focus on what we need to get ready for, and don't get too locked up into the hype of Bitcoin getting up to 200K, because we are far from that. It's a very unstable situation here. As we move out, guys, we'll start with LMFG. Your parting shots, and then we'll end with Gojo. By the way, thanks for coming, Gojo. We'll get your parting shots. LMFG, what your take are? Or are you running for the hills, brother? Or are you staying put, man?
Nah, staying put, and then here I'll DCA in. You know me.
Yeah.
It's the technology. It's the future. And like I got my kids into this, and I'm telling them, if you can just hold on to this stuff for 10 years, you would be very happy. It's what's coming. All good. Hey, yeah, everybody, happy holidays, all that. Enjoy, be safe.
Absolutely, brother. No, but you're right. Just hold on to the right stuff. You know, make sure what you're getting into is good stuff. You know, do your research. Don't just jump into anything because somebody tells you to. And that's what I always say. Make sure you're okay with that, you know, and your research tells you, you know, that's what you should do. You know, take everything with a grain of salt because there's a lot of traps, especially right now. Wow. Gojo, what you got, brother?
Honestly, man, just be prepared for the best and the worst. You know, get yourself a bag of Monar on Monar if you haven't
Absolutely.
already. Probably going to be one of the best cap coins in the Monar ecosystem. And you know, Crypto, thank you so much for blessing me with being up on the stage today, man. I appreciate the insight from both you and LMFG. And you know, hopefully we do this again sometime.
Most definitely, bro. You know, you're welcome here, man, in the lounge and the LMFG as well, brother. And, you know, I couldn't have said it any better. Just be safe out there, guys. Be careful with the news that you do here. And I saw you, Mom. If you're still there, welcome to the show, Mom. Hope you're doing great. Guys, just be careful in these crypto streets, all right? And we'll see you on the next show.